Uru Aboye Aboshishe Eku Oshe Ifa Egbe Akika Shege Oshun Oreye Ye Eshuke Eshupa Aj Olofin. May all the divinity support us and may we avoid contention with the Yami. Agbo Bobo Maritiwo and that was for yesterday for Oshe Egungun. Please join us at Iyadudu World Academy on Patreon. Shop with Iyadudu Botanica for your obi and clothing needs. If you just like a reading or to connect with us, please send me an email. Again, I'm Latona Ifa Bileke. The ancestors start off the week by saying Ishegun. There's a lot that we can ask for victory over, right? Both internal and external, right? But they ask us to have strong character, right, for transformation. It is through these transformations, right, that we have growth. This is how Otura Oriko helps us to understand some of these concepts, right? Otura on the right and Ogbe on the left. Aha ni senu koto muti. Diofun Orimado abesho wakaka. Orimado, Kiku Aron, Kiku Omapa, Orimado Laibo, Orimado Oba Igini, Karun Ejo Ofo Omase, Orimado Laibo, Orimado Oba Iginio. So once again, Otura Oriko. Aha ni senu kotomuti, diafun Orimado abeso wakaka. Kiku omapa, Orimado laibo, Orimado oba igini, karun ejo ofo omase, Orimado laibo, Orimado oba iginio. So we have to understand who Orimado is, what Orimado is, right? And how each one of us can be put into that place, right? This Odu says that in order for us to have growth, right, or for us to have progress, there has to be growth. Where is it that the Odu says we must grow? Where is it that the growth needs to take place in order for us to progress? Orimado is surely the thing. It comes from Yoruba. It says Orimado, the head, Orimado, that blooms. So we know that when something grows, it blooms, right? There's a season, right? We have these perennials and annuals and different things like that. There's the way that the flowers bloom, the way that the trees grow, right? That they bear fruit. This is saying that we must grow, right? In order to do what? In order to put away death, or in order to move away from death, or those things that bring death, sickness, right? Because it said kiku, so that's kusi iku. It said karun, kusi arun, ejo ofo, right? So to put to move away from death, to move away from sickness, to move away from loss, to move away from contention, it's saying that there must be growth of one's ori, one's head. It really helps us in a very simple way, right? To understand and be able to see and acknowledge those things that could potentially bring those ajogun into our life. Sometimes there's sickness. How do we avoid it? By growth, moving away from certain things, certain foods, right? Certain lifestyle, certain ideology. These are the things that affect the head that can bring death. These are the things that affect the head that can bring loss. These are the things that can affect the head to bring contention and strife. Once we're able to move away from those things, right, it says that we will be elevated, right? That we will be able to grow, that will bear fruit, that we will have longevity. It says that there's even people waiting on our growth. I bet so, Wakaka. They're waiting. You know, we wait for the food to get done, right? We wait to be paid on payday, right? We can't wait to get home. We can't wait to get married. We can't wait to have children, right? But what are the things that we need to do, right, with the head that affect that? Growth. It is being able to evaluate one's situations, right, one's circumstances, and to understand that the step that we had before is not the same as the step that we take now. So what that means, right, as we pass through certain doorways, as we pass through certain gateways, after we pass through certain portals, we cannot apply the things that we learned in our childhood to those things in adulthood. The way we think, the way we see the world, the way we interact with the world. As an adult, you can't interact with the world as a child. If you're a woman, you can't interact in the world as a man. If you're a man, you can't interact in the world as a woman, right? There has to be growth and understanding about the situation. Where you're going, what you're doing, who you're doing it with. Otura Oriko tells us that we have to have growth. The ancestors ask us, right, for victory over adversary, we need to have growth. Where? Our Ori needs to grow. It needs to bloom. It needs to bear fruit. Why? Because those who are affected by our destiny are waiting on it. They're waiting on the change. The ancestors say that we will bear fruit. We will have children. We will have Ire. We will have our blessing, right? But there needs to be a change with the head. The body takes care of itself, right? The body grows on its own. It doesn't require much care, right? We eat, we sleep, right? We exercise. The body takes care of itself, right? The body continues to move forward. The body doesn't say, hey, I want to go back to when I was 5 years old. No, the body will let you know, hey, I'm 40 years old. You can't move like you was 5 years old. What are we doing to move the head in this way? If you're a leader, you have to have leadership qualities, right? If you're a parent, you have to have parent rules and regulations, right? If you are this thing or that thing, right? The rules, change, based on where you at, based on circumstance. The ancestor says, as we continue to change and evolve, right, we'll have victory. We'll have victory over those things that seek to disturb us. Those things that seek to deter us. Those things that seek to keep us in a child's place. Right? It's the goal of every parent to have a child that gives back to the community. That has healthy relationships. That has children. That has prosperity. That has abundance. That has recognition. Our Ori asks that as well. Ifa says with strong character, right, we will have abundance. Aj. Sometimes it's the work ethic that we need. Sometimes it's our location, right? There's many different things, right? But if I ask us, right, to look at things, right, well, to have strong character, remember, that's the thing as well that affects the head, right? Where does our character come from? Our character is part of our destiny. What are the things that we need to change about our character to handle our blessing, to handle our abundance, to handle our owo, to handle our children, to handle our spouse? What changes do we need to make to Ori, right, in order to accommodate those blessings? The strength in character, determination, right? Keeping one's word, having integrity, being truthful, being honest, having compassion, empathy. These are the things that we will show, right, a strong character in order to handle our abundance. Ifa says, over the next 5 days, we'll have Ire Aiku, longevity with peace. It's the peace that gives us longevity, right? It's the peace of mind, right, in the present, right? Again, those things that affect Ori. Ifa, the Orisha, tell us what place we're supposed to start from mentally, how we're supposed to see the thing that we have, right? Because, right, it tells us the material offering or the sacrifice. It tells us don't wear red. It tells us that we need, we need to give adimu to the ancestors. It tells us that we need to feed our ori. It tells us that we need to sleep at the right time. It tells us all these different things, right? But when it comes to telling us things about the head, do we listen? If I tells you do not get angry, if the ancestors ask you not to be angry or to enter into arguments and fights, are those the things that we're changing? There's people waiting. There's people waiting on you to help them. There's people that's waiting on you to change, to help them change, right, their thinking, right? They must see you do it first. My Omawo must see me do it first. What are we changing to help the people? Are the changes we making beneficial? What type of fruit are those changes bringing forth? What kind of fruit? The people wait, right? We wait for the pecan tree, right? To every 2 years. We wait for the apple tree, right? We wait for the pear tree. We wait for these things to materialize, right? But how do we see them? By the fruit that they bear. The ancestors, Ifa, ask us to make the change here. This is where we move away from death. This is where we move away from sickness. This is the place where we move away from loss. This is the place where we move away from contention. When we move away from those things, we move closer to long life. We move closer to Aj. They say it, right? We move closer to children. We move closer to spouse. We move closer to victory over ourselves. Otura Oriko helps us to see how to do that. Because it asks us to look at the fruit that we're bearing. What is the thing that we're giving? What is the thing that is materializing from our actions? Is it something that is in blessing? Or is it something that causes challenge and obstacle? Let us all continue to move forward, right? And bear fruit that is enjoyable. Let us continue to feed the people with good Ifa. Let our character continue to shine even in the darkness of light. Again, I am Ifa Bileke, Latona Ifa Bileke. Check us out at Iwa, Iadudu World Academy on Patreon. Shop with us for Obi and clothing and spiritual materials at Iadudu Botanica. Check us out at 2028 Woodland Drive, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28205. Odabo.